And a very good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you might be in the world. Welcome once again to the ProSynth Network live show, episode 217. How are you all? Thanks for joining us. If you're watching on catch up, thanks for coming back. Always good to have you come back after the fact. But if you're watching live, hello to everyone out there, and to everyone that's in the chat. Can't go through you all by name, but we love that you're here. And I'm hoping that you're as excited as we are for this week's show. Before we do anything else, just need to go through the usual housekeeping stuff. So if you'd like to read the safety card that's in the seat in front of you, you will realise that you can give us a like. That would be fantastic. Bit of a thumbs up. Or if you don't like us, give us a thumbs down. You know, it's all engagement, I suppose. If you want to comment during the show, please do. If you're watching on any of the channels that allow commenting, such as YouTube, which I believe is where most of you are, Facebook, Twitch, and X, formerly known as Twitter, you can comment and we will see all of those comments. If you need to ask a question of us or of our guest, preface it with a big capital Q. That would be really useful, because then we can throw it into the right bucket and bring that in as and when we can. Also, if you haven't already subscribed to the show, please give us a subscribe. It does help us, it really does. And hit the bell if you want to be notified of our weekly shows or anything that we do in between the weekly shows. If you want to support us, of course, we have our Patreon page. And our Patreon page, let me just bring this up on screen, is currently featuring an exclusive, but it's only exclusive for like another 12 hours or so. It's been exclusive all week. There's Mr. Metley. Look, there he is. So I did a walkabout around Superbooth on the Saturday, which was very tiring, but I did it because I love you, and I thought you might want to see everything that was going on in Superbooth, so I tried to capture everything there. That's an exclusive, along with all the other exclusives that we have on our Patreon page, including sound packs for various synthesizers and so on and so forth. And there's more content on its way coming soon. So if you want to subscribe to that on Patreon, it's just a minimum of $2 a month. Or is it? Yes, it's $2 a month. And that gets you access to everything that's on there. And also you can do the same with YouTube membership, and you get all the same goodies as much as we can through that. So you can help us out in that way, because that pays all the licenses and the fees and everything that we have to pay for. So thank you very much for your patronage and support. I also want to say a quick thank you to our moderators in the chat, who have the easiest job in the world, because you lot are so well behaved. They literally just sit there with their feet up, sipping a glass of wine or beer or whatever it might be, and they look after you. And they also post links to things that we talk about in the chat, so that you can pop off and see those later on. So there we go, and there's our first donation of the show. Thank you very much indeed, Andrew Brooks. Last one from me. He's got to save up for Superbooth next year. Absolutely right, sir. We need to have you there. So please, you don't need, you're already a member, a channel member. I think you're also a Patreon subscriber, so you don't need to donate, but thank you very much indeed for doing so. It's much appreciated. Right, before we get to our guest, who I'm very keen to get to, because we've only got him for a short amount of time, I want to bring in the guys who help me do this show every week, and make it a lot easier or a lot more difficult, depending on which way you look at it. I went to Andrew first last week. I'm going to go to Mr. Spong first. Resplendent in his ProSynth Network hoodie. You're not too warm, mate. It's a bit... It's
all I could find.
Oh, okay.
It's the only thing that isn't covered in husky hair at the moment.
Oh, okay, yeah. Is he still shedding?
Yeah.
Oh, bless him. Yeah. Good week?
Yes. Oh, been running around like a bloody lunatic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Paid work, though?
No. No, afraid not. No, this is all part of the old R&D thing.
Okay, cool. Well, maybe we'll talk about that later, and also talk about the little escapee that popped out from under the gate the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Little Noah on his little escapades.
Yeah, went to build a boat.
Indeed, bless him. Anyway, good to see you, mate. And of course, the other gentleman, I say gentleman, is Andrew Longhurst, formerly of bad music videos with... what's his face? Womack and Womack, and others. And of course, formerly of Emu Systems, and presently of I can't remember the name of the company.
MMO UK.
Yeah.
VR, everything.
Looks after all of your VR and video needs. Mr. Andrew Longhurst, are you
Age
okay?
concern.
Age concern.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome, dear.
No, I'm good. It's been a busy week. We've all had busy weeks. We know we've got a guest waiting who has so much to do. He's got even more than we have to do at the moment. So
we
why
don't want
we
to waste
let
any
him?
time.
Yeah, let's do that thing.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are absolutely stoked. Michelle Moog of the Bob Moog Foundation emailed me a few weeks ago and said, how would you like it if we could get you a guest for the show that's going to be linked to our new raffle? And I said, who might that be? And the name she gave me, my jaw went jing, because we have been thinking about asking this gentleman to come on the show, and we didn't have to do anything. And he's turned up, and he's going to tell us all about his involvement with the Bob Moog Foundation. It is the one and the only, the legend. That is Jordan Rudess.
Yay!
Jordan, thank you for joining us. Oh, you're on mute. Let me just take you off. You have to unmute yourself. There we go. How are you, sir?
Hey, everybody. Hey, guys. I'm doing very well. It's been a very busy time.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot going on, but pleased that I could find a time to be with all of you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and we're so appreciative of you giving us your time, because obviously we know you're a busy guy. So I'm just going to just jump right in and ask you, first of all, if you can tell us a little bit about your involvement with the Bob Moog Foundation and with this particular raffle prize, which is, if I'm not mistaken, a 2022 Minimoog reissue, Model D reissue from Moog themselves.
Right. So, yeah, I've been involved with the Minimoog since my time of kind of pivoting, if you will, from classical piano focus to synthesizers and everything that brought. So the Minimoog is probably the, most important synthesizer of my life, because it really was instrumental in that important time period. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of, it goes right to my heart, and the Moog Foundation, is very dear to me, and all the people that are part of it as well. A lot of close friends, people who care about synthesis and care about education, and I was honored to be asked to be part of that group, and I do whatever I can to help out. So recently, Michelle and her team came over to my home studios, and we did some filming, and I played some Minimoog, this very special Minimoog that I signed for this raffle, and we had a great time. And yeah, I'm just pleased to have any opportunity to kind of help out the cause, because it's all really good stuff. The Bob Moog Foundation is just first of all run by Michelle, who's, as we all know, is awesome, and always putting a lot of energy behind the mission, which is education and teaching people where all the things we love really came from. Which is what it is,
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here.
So you mentioned at the top there that the Minimoog has been part of your life with synthesizers since you made that shift from classical piano. What impact did you, when you first laid your hands on a Minimoog? What were your first thoughts about this synthesizer?
Well, the first synthesizer that I ever really tried was the Sonic 6. Some high school friends that were really determined to kind of bring this into my life showed up at my door one day, my parents' house, and they knocked on the door, and they had this thing in their hands, and they really wanted to show it to me. Of course, my mother, who was the one who was driving me back and forth to Juilliard in those days, when she saw them at the door holding this bizarre thing, almost closed the door on them. Literally, I remember. But they kind of barged in, brought the thing to my room, and I played it, and that was really life-changing, because I had never played a keyboard that had like the ability, for example, to change pitch.
Right.
That was incredible. Or the first time I turned, a filter knob, and I just felt like, oh my God, this is an opening. This is like an awakening.
Hmm.
So that was the beginning of,
What
this whole journey. And
what
after
year?
that,
What year was that? Approximately.
oh, this was when I was about 17. So you're
Okay.
talking about like 73.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
same kind of age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So after that, I started to kind of, really be aware of some of the guys that were playing Moog synthesizers, people, like Patrick Moraz and
Mm.
Rick Wakeman and these sorts. And actually was cutting out. I remember I would get like Keyboard magazine, and I'd cut out pictures of people with mini Moogs and post them up on my bedroom wall, just like scotch tape them up, and start bothering parents and uncles and relatives about the fact that I really, really wanted to have one of these things. And
Hmm.
eventually, I think I became so annoying that my father arranged with one of his brothers that they would kind of finance my mini Moog dream. And so I got a mini Moog,
Nice.
and that was it. That was like an incredible time. I actually remember what I thought was my first real like synthesizer keyboard rig was a mini Moog, an ARP string machine, and Moog Tourist bass pedals. And I felt like I could rule the world. I felt like I
Yeah.
could literally rule the world. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
to me like one of the greatest systems. So yeah, and when I first started to play the Mini Moog, it was really actually very different than some of these idols that I mentioned, because I got very, very interested in the fact that the Mini Moog opened up this entire sonic world.
Hmm.
So, where some of the guys that I still look up to, their approach was dial in a cool sound, kind of keep the knobs and everything where they were. My approach was one hand on the keys, one hand working all the knobs, and just going for it. And because I was also interested in groups like Tangerine Dream, but I was exposed to Morton Subotnick and a lot of interesting things that opened up my sonic creative mind. So one hand on the keys, one hand on the knobs. And when I learned to use the Mini Moog, what was really interesting, especially looking back, is that instrument could be learned completely organically, meaning
Yeah.
that you didn't have to know what any of the stuff meant. Like, I didn't know what an LFO was, and I didn't really know what an oscillator or a filter or modulation or any of those words really meant. But I literally
Mm.
learned every knob and switch combination and what it would do sonically.
Hmm. Mm.
And I used them, and I had as an example kind of what we would call like a space electronic group that we used to go and play the college late night radio stations, and just completely space out and improvise and do wild things. And actually, you guys might know this guy, but one of the guys that was in that group was this fellow who's no longer with us, but he was kind of a genius in his own right, was Sal Galena,
Mm.
who had a lot to do with inventing like the WX7 and the Lyricon and those kind of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. What is it about the Mini Moog itself, though, that I mean, it's a very special synthesizer. So many people have cited it as this pivotal moment that when they first laid their hands on the Mini Moog, it changed their lives forever. What specifically was it for you? Was it the sound? Was it the easy to read layout that you could understand the entire signal path just by looking at it? What specifically was it for you?
Well, it certainly wasn't the easy to read part because I didn't know what any of the words meant, but the absolutely the sound. My interest was partly in, you know, playing like leads. Aside from all
Hmm.
the spacey stuff I was doing, I was like, oh my God, I can play like almost like a guitar lead on this thing. And I
Yeah.
got
Hmm.
Yeah.
totally into the pitch wheel and, practicing with it and just really getting my skill of doing pitch bends and things like that going. Um, yeah, so it was the sound, it was the flexibility of sound. I felt like with this one small keyboard instrument, I could basically make whatever sound that I wanted. That I just found it to be so sonically flexible, and I just got a big rush of the whole kind of like dynamic of this machine and everything that it could do. So, as time went on and I started to fill in the blanks as far as like, okay, now I know what an oscillator is. Now I know what all these waveforms are, the envelopes. I was like, okay, well, this thing really makes sense. I think that, especially now looking back at the Minimoog, you kind of go, okay, wow, that is a very cool layout. It's almost like it really laid the foundation for anybody that's going to build a synthesizer. This is almost like the basics of the way it can be laid out, and it can go from there.
Yeah.
So, when I go up to my Minimoog, even now, so many years later, it's still like, okay, I'm home. This is it. I could almost close my eyes and just do it,
That's a really interesting phrase, that, I'm home, because, I think I probably started with Minimoogs probably a year after you. And I think the thing that grabbed me immediately, I'd seen like you, seen Wakeman and Mraz and all these really cool guys, Chick Corea, using this thing. And I just wanted to know what the hell they were doing. And when I first got it, I rented it for a week. And by the end of the week, I knew it completely. And it was one of those moments which was like, I've come home, and all my friends who were guitarists or maybe played sax and piano and had this dynamic control, this articulation they could use, I suddenly had all these knobs which gave me that. And after a year or so, it became just so embedded that I was just, if you give me a Minimoog now, I can just reach to it, and it's part of it's immediately there. I just got to glance at it. I know what's going to come out, or what I need to do to get it to where I need it to be. And since then, all the things we now have, all of these, have been trying to emulate that direct control ever since. And things like the 2600 as well, they were similarly thing. But the Moog was the first, and I still think it's the best teaching aid for anyone doing either video or audio. I think it's the best teaching aid. What's your feeling about that?
Well, what's really interesting is that all of us, we've seen so many different synthesizers. We all these great things that make all kinds of sounds, all this software. Every day there's another piece of software, and a lot of them are fantastic, that they can just do incredible things in the sonic realm. But it's very rare that you come upon some kind of a layout that you feel like, wow, this fits into my mind really, really well, and it makes a whole lot of sense, and I can just make music with it. It's very difficult to make a user interface with something that's got complexity, that makes cool sounds, and have it really laid out well. And the fact that the Minimoog came out and then exists in this world is a great example of an instrument that was like, or that is, a success, because you have this thing, it makes it certain kind of sounds, and it also has this interface, because there's so much to making a musical instrument, and a lot of people don't even realize that. It's got to be this complete package. It's got to be, okay, you've got this, this soundware, and then this is the way you interface. This is the way you can, react to it, the way you put your energies into it. It's a real art form. And, however they, came up with it, however Bob Moog, in his genius kind of solved this thing in his mind to even attach a keyboard to a synthesizer. I know that was a big deal too, but it worked. However it got there, it totally worked. And I think when anybody's building, an instrument, it's something to look at. Like, this one really works. How do you get back there? And because of so many reasons, people, they focus on one part, but then they can't get the other part together. Like, they might focus on the sounds, but then it's a real bear to use. Or and of course there have been other successes that do work, but it's rare, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a testament to Bob's genius and Herb as well. We mustn't forget Herb in the design of the Minimoog, that it was so easy to get your head around, and you did, like you say, you didn't have to know what these things did. You could just grab them and turn them, and things would happen, and then you would start to make those associations. But once you kind of grasp the concept, it stuck. And I think, whenever I look at a new synthesizer, not that I'm a Minimoog owner, I've played a few, but I've never owned one. But I still look at a new synthesizer the same way I look at a Minimoog. I go, first thing, where are the oscillators? Where's the mixer? Where's the filter? Where are the envelopes? And I always go in that order. And I think that's just something that's been ingrained into me, and I'm sure many other people. And I think that was the genius of that design. And we have synthesizers today that are just beyond complex and can do a gazillion things, but the one that does this stuff so simply and so effectively, still 50 odd years later, is still the one that we all refer to, even though many of us have probably never owned one and maybe never will. We always, it's a benchmark. It's an absolute line in the sand.
Right.
Did you ever get to meet Bob at all? Did you ever have any dealings with him at all?
Yeah, I did get to meet him a few times here and there. And unfortunately, we never really had the time to become close. But yeah, I did meet him, and luckily, I'm pretty close with his daughter, who carries the flag, for the whole thing.
Absolutely. She does a fantastic job. And I believe she is in the chat along with Craig as well. So hi to you, Michelle. Thanks for setting this up. Love you lots. And hi to Craig as well. We missed you both this year at Superbooth. We did walk past the sign, and we did all say Superbooth, just, for the whole pronunciation joke, which was great last year. So yeah, let's move away from the Minimoog just slightly. We will come back to the raffle, and we'll share the links and everything. But Jordan, I want to ask you. I mean, you're so well known in our world of synthesists and electronic music and particularly progressive rock. With Dream Theater and Liquid Tension and all that kind of stuff. Was that just a natural fit for you? That whole prog scene. Have you ever had an urge to sort of move out into other styles of music? Because everyone tends to, and I certainly do, maybe I'm guilty of this, kind of say, Jordan Rudess, prog keyboard, it's supreme. Have you ever wanted to sort of venture into wilder or even more simple forms of music?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting the way our world works. I mean, the majority of people know me as this prog metal guy. But, those people who really know me or even follow my career know that my musical life and my mind goes in a lot of different directions. And I do a lot of things. Like I did spend some time a few years ago and before that doing a bunch of solo touring, as an example. One of the tours I did solo was Bach to Rock, where I literally would start and I'd start playing a Bach piece on the piano and kind of go from there, showing my musical journey. And as much as the Minimoog is my home, the piano is also my home. So, and through the years I've created a lot of solo piano music, and some of it's very, very gentle and not progressive metal at all. And even my solo rock albums, they tend not to be so much metal as Dream Theater, but they go on different kind of pathways and showing different styles. And, the things I've done, like my time playing with the Paul Winter Consort, was certainly not progressive rock at all. So there's a lot, there's a lot of stuff in this, and the space music that I love to make and have made, working with people like Steve Horlick, who's one of the fine synthesists of our day, So, and also my, unfortunately left the planet some years ago, Richard Lanehart, who was a sonic pioneer and working on all kinds of amazing technology. The person who helped kind of like introduce me to the continuum, the Haken continuum, which was an important part of my musical life as well. So I kind of have my my hands literally in all different areas of the music world, and also, as you guys probably know, I'm very involved in designing musical instruments.
Yeah.
Both in the, a lot of the stuff I've been designing is in the software domain. These days, working on some really, really interesting projects with AI, especially in my residency with MIT and the Media Labs. These days, we're doing some, really awesome stuff. So, this whole world of sound and keyboard playing and musical instruments is my passion. So it's pretty all consuming.
Yeah, because I was looking through your list of collaborations and guest appearances, and I mean it's a who's who of popular music, and I mean the names that spring out to me are names that I'm very familiar with, like Stephen Wilson, and your work you played on, I think it was Insurgentes and Grace for Drowning, I think, as well. But also Prefab Sprout. I didn't realise you played with Prefab Sprout, and I'm a huge Sprout fan. But also, and I want to just ask you a little bit about this, because I think most of us here are David Bowie fans, but you played on Heathen, is that correct?
That's right.
How did that come about?
I befriended Tony Visconti along the way, and Tony Visconti, of course, has produced so many acts and very involved with David Bowie through the years. But also, I think he did one of the Gentle Giant albums, and worked with Rick Wakeman and Moody Blues and a lot of things. And when I was doing the Dream Theater 6 Degrees album, he had called me up because we had worked together on some things, and he asked if I'd be interested to help him a little bit with this David Bowie album at the time, which was Heathen. That's the one that I worked on, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to do that. In those days, I was working a lot with the Kurzweil synthesizers, and I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I might have had like 3 K2500 rack synthesizers.
Wow.
Right? And I was very proud of that because I felt like I could do anything. I had one of the racks was dedicated to like vintage sounds, so I had all the electric pianos and organ sounds and old synthesizer sounds, and one of them was more like orchestral sounds and this kind of stuff, and one of them was more like digital. So anyway, I felt like I could rule the world with this stuff. And just a funny story is, so I got into the studio, I think it was called Skyline Studios in the Catskills in New York, up on top of a mountain. I was staying there for like a couple of weeks. That was the plan. I set it all up, was all ready to go, and Tony, the producer, came over to me and said, okay, we're ready to work on the first song. And I said, great. He said, well, the first song we're looking for like an organ approach. I went, fantastic. I got about 20 different organ tones in my synthesizers, and I can do whatever you want, something heavy, something crunchy, light, whatever. He says, no. He says, over in the corner there, we have a Hammond organ. You'll use that. And I said, oh, okay. I thought about it for a second, and before he walked away, I said, hey, Tony, let me just tell you something, because I said my background is classical piano and then synthesizer. I don't really know a whole lot about Hammond organs, actually. He said, oh, don't worry, it's okay. He says, just go over there, we'll turn it on, just pull out some drawbars, and it'll be fine. So I was like, okay, great.
Pressure's on, yeah.
Yeah, right. So I did that, and that was that
Wow.
experience. All worked out well.
Yeah, awesome.
And it followed with a bunch of things like that as well. Funny things like that. I mean, I ended up using my synthesizers, but a lot of it was like, oh yeah, we have a Fender Rhodes up in the attic over there. We'll bring it down. It was good, some good stories, but it was a great experience as well.
I bet.
Yeah.
We've got some questions. I'm conscious of the time. We've got about 15 minutes left with you, but we do have some questions. Let's see. Jeffrey Derry from Canada. He's in Quebec, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Hi, Jordan. Big fan here. I was wondering about your process in choosing your sound palette for any song, and if it influences your style of play. Good question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as as somebody who loves sonics and everything like that, sometimes I'll just dive into an interesting synthesizer and kind of scroll through, and I'll hear a sound, and the sounds always influence the way that I play. Um, as somebody who's also like an improviser, obviously the art of improvisation is a whole nother discussion we can have. But I will say that whatever sound it is that I'm playing will always influence what comes out musically. So, I mean, occasionally I'll approach it where, okay, I've got these notes or this music in my head. Now I'm looking for that sound, or I know it's going to be piano, or I know it's going to be some kind of like a classic lead tone. But sometimes I'm orchestrating and I'm just kind of painting a picture. And I almost look at it as though I have I can have a full like sonic palette, and I'll find a sound. I'll go, that's awesome. I'll sprinkle a little bit of that on here. And so the sound will, guide me to what it is that I'm going to play.
Cool. Another question from Jason Cratch. This one, a number of people approached me before the show and said, can you ask Jordan about MPE and poly aftertouch? Because we're kind of in a renaissance period now of performance controls for synthesizers, particularly MPE and poly aftertouch. Do you see the explosion of traditional keybeds with either poly aftertouch or MPE being released or reissued, enabling or limiting to some of the more creative niche controllers that you play? What's your whole take on the whole MPE thing?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, okay, so many, many years ago, before you guys were born, no, I'm kidding. But many years ago, when when iPhones started to come out and we all kind of became aware of these things, I invented this app with a partner. It was called MorphWiz. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. But it was, my idea at the time was that I wanted to have every finger that was on the touch screen be independent. I wanted to be able to move pitches in two different ways. I wanted to be able to move in a vertical dimension and be able to control the parameter of a sound, but independently per finger. And at that point, it was a pretty cutting edge idea. And I released that. And very luckily for me, that year, their Billboard had a category, which was the Billboard Music App Awards. And MorphWiz won the best music app that year. And the reason it was good, just besides being flattering, was that it just really helped, because over the years, then everybody started to get into the game of the App Store. And even though it started to get pretty crowded, I was able to have anything that I worked on be noticed by by the people that were interested in these kind of things. So, the MPE thing that has kind of come out of that period of time, I like to think partly because of, the kind of things I was doing back then, I think is really, really important. And I've seen some instruments that I consider to be a real success using that. I mean, most recently, an instrument like the Expressive E Osmos, I feel is, I think that is a really successful instrument worth people checking out, understanding, and spending a little time with, because that, like we were talking before, that to me is a marriage of the physical engineering, right? And also the soundware. That actually uses the Egan matrix as the soundware. And Ed Egan, of course, worked with Libold Haken on the Continuum. But that combination, just the way it feels and what it does, is a great use of MPE. But I should say, just to be totally like clear or like honest about it, is that all these things that offer MPE, as great and as important as I think they are, and I use them, it does add some complication to the performance aspect of it, because many of us, didn't necessarily go to Juilliard and learn how to, really control your fingers and accurately play exactly what you want to play and what's in your mind. And then, and now we're adding another layer of complexity to the whole idea where, oh my God, every finger can move independently. So I can wiggle this one, I can move this one up, and I can do this and that. And come on, the reality is a lot of people have trouble going from one chord to the other and just putting their hand in the right place. So,
You've
you
heard my
know,
playing then.
well, I mean, it's worth mentioning or thinking about, because as great as the MPE instruments are, and I think probably all of us, at least here, would really support it, that anything that allows you to be more expressive is a good thing. So I'm completely into it, and I put my energy behind these things. But also to be aware and to think about, okay, well, it is a little bit more complicated. It means you can do more with your fingers in this case, especially for me as a keyboardist. But where do we go from here, like in the future with musical instruments? How do we get the expression from our minds and the humans that we are into the world of sound in an effective, expressive, musical, organic, enjoyable way? So that's it. So the part of me that is a keyboardist says, "Oh, this is great because I know how to play and I can wiggle my finger and I can do this and I think it's fantastic. Every keyboard player on the planet should check it out." The part of me that is someone who likes to look at things from a more vision-oriented thing, like where have we been, where are we going, how can we make music out of our minds into reality? That's the part that looks at this and go, okay, how should we be really expressing ourselves to be the most effective, enjoyable, inspiring, and all those kind of things.
Yeah, sure. So I just want to bring things back to the Bob Moog Foundation raffle, because we're close to time with you, and I know you're very busy, and we need to let you go. But let me just bring in that. So the reason that Jordan is here is that Jordan has signed a brand new 2022 Minimoog Model D reissue. That is there it is. There's the signature on the back. We'll just bring the picture up. There it is. Prepare for a sonic adventure, signed by Jordan Rudess. You can win this if you enter the raffle. I think you all know what the raffle's about, because we always plug it every time it's on. But you can buy an individual ticket for just $25. You can get 5 for $100, 12 for $200, 35 for $500, and they're all purchasable on the Bob Moog Foundation website. All you got to do is just go to moogfoundation.org and follow the links from the homepage there. It has an estimated value, retail value of about $5,000, but of course, with that signature, who knows how much it might be worth. You mentioned in the trailer video that you shot that this particular Minimoog has some additions to it, some differences in its architecture that the originals didn't have, and how you enjoyed those. Could you maybe just very quickly explain what those differences are?
Sure. Well, first of all, let me just say that, Minimoogs all have personalities. You put your hands on them, and some of them, all of them are great, but some of them stand out and go, wow, this is a really good one. I don't know. Not sure why that is. I'm sure there's because it's analog or whatever, and there is a subtle difference, but it's definitely something you kind of feel. And I gotta say, when I put my hands on this one, I was like, wow, this is a really good one. And it made me think, and I had my personal Minimoog in back of it, and the first thing I'm thinking, wow, is mine this good? So it's a standout Minimoog. This thing was doing what it should do. It was fat, and the controls felt really solid and awesome. So, on the Minimoog, oscillator 3 is usually used for modulation, filter modulation, oscillator modulation. And when you're using it in that way, it basically means that you can't be using it just as a pure oscillator in the normal kind of a way. So this Minimoog had a pretty cool addition in that it actually has a separate LFO, which could then be assigned to do pulse width modulation. So I did that in the video. It's pretty cool. If you have like a pulse width oscillator, you could then get that to move and have that kind of animation that you would really, really want. So it was great to have something that frees up that third oscillator to allow for that kind of patching. So it's cool. It's kind of simple, but very cool, because the Moog has 3 oscillators. The third one's going to be used for an LFO. Now you're not just limited to that.
But I suppose it goes back to that thing we were saying before, that it's simple and yet it's so powerfully effective, but it still retains that simplicity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that whoever gets this Minimoog will be very, very happy.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, I'm kind of hoping it's going to be me. I always play tickets and I never win, and then I always think, if I won, would I be accused of it being a fix? I don't know. So I'm always a little bit. But I'd love a Minimoog one day. I just don't have the room for one. But
I can relate to that. But okay.
I understand that this particular model is when the winner will get it with the top 10 of your keyboard lines already embedded in it. They just have to sense it somehow, and that's coming with it. So
imbued with the spirit of Jordan.
Yeah. Well, maybe in a few years it'll come with the AI kind of Jordan brain plug-in to it. Right?
No AI. We're old men. We don't like AI. We're not.
Well, I'm old too, and I like it. So.
You really? Yeah. I mean, what,
yeah.
So where do you think AI is going to be a benefit to us as synthesists?
I think everybody needs to be very educated as far as all the amazing things that you can do, all the inspiring, educational, magical things that will enrich us and just make things more enjoyable. I mean, right now I'm working at MIT in the AI space, musical space, and what we're doing is I'm training models to kind of behave a little bit like my musical brain. So with the idea that I could jam with my AI partner and have this really, really cool interaction, which is starting to become super, super fun. But even beyond the experience of my playing and having my AI partner doing things that kind of weave in and out of what I'm doing in a way that I would do as well. I just see so many educational uses for that. I mean, really incredible things like, let's say you're playing a keyboard and you, let's see, what's the best way for me to kind of explain this? Yeah.
Go on.
You're playing a line, right? You're just articulating a line, and you stop on a note. The AI recognizes what you played and said, "Oh, he played in C major, and he stopped on E. Now I'm going to go to an E minor 7. Great." And then the person plays another line, and if he plays in G sharp, the AI knows that G sharp really doesn't go against an E minor 7 chord. So it plays the E minor 7 chord again. So having that what I'm getting to is that not only like in what I'm doing at MIT, looking for this really like next level of a way to kind of make the musical performance space even more exciting, but I'm also thinking educationally, like, wow, with this kind of intelligence, you could really work with somebody and help to train them in a way that's never really been done before. Kind of like if you came to my house and you were at your keyboard and I'm at mine, and I said, okay, let's work on your ear a little bit. And you started to play, and I said, oh, great, you played that line, that's really nice. Well, here's a chord now. Articulate something against that chord, and I could hear it and I go, well, obviously this person is at this level and needs this kind of help. And so there's so many things we can do. We can talk about it in a separate podcast if you want down the road. But I think just to summarize my thoughts about it, I think that the whole AI thing is a matter of people like myself or you guys that really understand music and really care about it, leading it and directing it and making sure that we go in a place that makes musical sense, that that adds to things in a positive way. I mean, we all have seen all kinds of tools through the years, whether it be drum machines or whatever, where we go, we don't need that, get a real drummer or whatever. There's always like inventions that come out and we kind of view them, well, that's like a negative thing because that's too robotic or whatever. And then we see another invention that we go, wow, that's actually really cool. And one of the things I've been involved with recently is a company called Moises, Moises. An awesome company that started out of Brazil. Now it's become very big. But everything that Moises does is based on AI, and musicians around the world don't even know, they don't care, they don't know what it is, they don't know it's AI. What they're doing with this technology is they're able to take an audio, like a stereo audio track, and then they can separate they can upload it to the Moises system, and a minute later they have it divided up into all the separated tracks, and then they can accurately see what chord is happening exactly on what beat. They get a metronome, they get full access to all the tracks, they can slow it down, they can speed it up, and musicians are freaking out about it because it's really, really good. If you tell them it's AI, then some of them are like, "Oh, AI," but then they don't care because they're loving Moises,
Yeah.
And, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Obviously we don't want to take anybody's job away, or we're sensitive to musicians' rights and all those kind of things. All really good concerns, all really good things to talk about and deal with. But let's also focus on the really positive things that the technology can bring into our lives.
In the same way that samplers and orchestral stuff used to threaten, orchestral people said no, and synthesizers the same thing. It all comes around. These are good tools. AI has some really good tools.
Yeah, we need to be aware of it so we can help to steer it. Like, this is good, this is bad.
Exactly.
It's just what it is.
Will you come back on and talk about this some more, Jordan? Because this is
I'd love to. In September, I'll be doing a presentation up at MIT showing what we're working on, kind of a big event there where we're going to show the audio part of what we're doing, but also the visual elements of what we're doing to enable people to kind of visualize what's happening with the AI as well. Should be quite a cool event, and I'll be posting the date at some point in the near future for people to come and kind of get a firsthand look at what's going on. So maybe around that time would be a good, when I can actually show some more about it, would be a good time to do that.
Brilliant. Well, I've got your details now, so we'll definitely keep in touch. Jordan, we're at time. I know you've got to go off. You're a busy guy, but listen, thank you so much for coming on. It's a real honor to have you on the show. Thanks for answering all our questions, and of course, thank you for supporting, as you always do, the Bob Moog Foundation with this wonderful raffle. There it is on the screen now. The link's been posted in the chat. Go and get your tickets now, and you could be the owner of this 2022 Model D, signed by the one and only Mr. Jordan Rudess. Everyone, thank you, sir.
All right. Well,
take care.
Listen, thanks to you guys, and thanks, Michelle, if you're out there, for helping me coordinate with the guys. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you guys another time.
Yeah, indeed, Jordan. Thanks ever so much. Take care.
Take care. God bless me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Jordan Rudess. Wow. I'm just like, whoa.
I taught him everything he knows.
I know. Do you know, when I was doing my research, I was looking through, I'm thinking, I thought I knew a lot about this guy. I didn't know nothing.
Oh, his piano albums are astonishing. His playing is just beautiful.
Well, hopefully the next time he's on, I'll actually get to speak to him.
Well, pipe up with a question then.
No, I wasn't going to interrupt because the flow was going. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we're going to have him on again. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
You're not like this. You're not like him, who just like butts in.
Yeah, no. What it was, there was a flow going, and you don't break the flow, do you? Well, it's all right. It's just a shame that was only here for the 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm the bad actor.
No, Jordan only literally had 45 minutes, and I'm like, well, do you say no, Jordan, or I'll take 45 minutes with Jordan, and I'll take 45 minutes with Jordan.
Exactly.
Any day of the week. So just before we move on to other things, go and buy your tickets. You've got until, when does this finish? June 17th. So you've got a couple of weeks or so to get your tickets bought. I think what they normally do is there's a fixed amount of tickets. I can't remember if I saw that. Normally there's like sort of like so many tickets that you can buy.
5,000 normally, or something like that?
It's something like that. It normally says that it closes either on this date or when all the tickets are sold. Now, Michelle and Craig were in the chat. Maybe they can clarify that for us as well. But $25, so it's about 20 quid if you're in the UK. 5 tickets for $100, 12 for 200, and of course 35 for 500. All of that money goes towards the Bob Moog Foundation that does, as we've said so many times before, does amazing work. It's just I want to go to the museum. I'm trying to figure out how can I get to Asheville. What excuse can I have? There we go. There's no limit. Thank you very much indeed, Michelle.
It's there.
Yeah, no limit. Brilliant. So just buy as many tickets as you possibly can.
Yeah, buy lots.
Before I forget, I know our wonderful friend Brad Holland is in the chat. Robbie, please give Tony, whoever Tony is, a shout out and tell him to hurry up fixing that Jupiter 4, which I believe Tony is probably sat next to Brad, but I guess this is just a further incentive. So there you go.
Should have taken it to a proper tech.
That that shout out will cost you an S2400
Each.
Yeah, one each, or a Kaladan. Yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. We haven't had a guest on for a little while, and then we come in with Jordan Rudess, and just a massive thank you to Michelle for sorting that out, and also I want to.
And what a great cause!
Yeah, talking of proper techs. I have a confession.
Oh,
you know the emulator 2 I put out in the garden to take round to the garage?
Yes.
It's still in the garden.
Oh bloody hell!
And
we've had a lot of rain.
Yeah, it's very clean. It's a very clean E2.
I bet it is. Yeah.
Very clean.
Can I also give a shout out to Drew at the Bob Moog Foundation, who did all the social media and shared a lot of that stuff around for the BMF with our links in it and everything. So big thanks to Drew as well, and to Craig and everybody else at the Bob Moog Foundation. Just since Superbooth or Superbooth, the name Moog has just been Superbooth because it's
not
double
Soapy
O's.
Boat.
No, because it's double O's, and instead of super like Moog, we say Soper because it's how you should pronounce it. Did you not see the video?
Cows go Moog.
Yeah, that's it. Cows go Moog.
Yeah, cows go Mo.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were walking out of off the site. This was last year. We were walking off the site with Michelle and Craig, and Michelle just says, "Rob, get your camera," and she stands by the sign, and so I start filming. She goes, "Superbooth." You had to beat it. It's one of those moments, but she's a wicked little woman. Love her to bits. I was going to ask. We didn't have enough time for it, unfortunately, but I was going to ask Jordan if he'd ever noodled on one of these, because I'd really like to hear Jordan Rudess wig out on an automaton. Love that. My cat knocked that off the shelf. I was a bit concerned that it might break, but it's the solid things.
It's cat's job.
Anyway, yeah, indeed.
What a shame we didn't have time for that.
I thought that would have been the highlight of the show myself.
Yep, it would.
Well,
Yeah.
That and Ken asking him a question.
Anyway,
yeah.
so the thing is, right, we're coming up to halfway through the show, and I really hope that we could hang on to Jordan for longer, but we couldn't, because there's really no news.
There is.
There is.
Yeah, I got an email from Rolly this morning.
Oh, okay.
And they have announced they're now doing the Rolly Rise 2 in black.
Oh.
Wow.
It's funny. I was having a chat with Steve Elbows, who you probably see in the chat. We've been chatting the past couple of days, and he sent me something. I can't really sort of talk about it on air, but it was about Rolly, and it was very amusing and also slightly concerning, but amusing nonetheless. I'll send it to you because I think you'll appreciate it. So yeah, there's nothing, because everybody released everything like the week before last, and then it was Superbooth, and that was it, and it was all kind of over and done with.
Something must have gone on.
There really isn't much at all. I mean, what I can say, let's fill a few minutes here. What I will talk about is this, because if you are a Patreon subscriber, you will hopefully have seen this, which is our exclusive Superbooth 2024 walkabout video, which I filmed all by myself with my camera and my audio recorder, and I managed to synchronize it and everything and edit it to a point. I mean, when I say edit it, I just kind of cut out the slightly boring parts, but you'll see me walking around pretty much all of Superbooth. Oh, look, there's the PS3300 that you weren't allowed to play because it was behind the glass and the velvet rope. And it wasn't working properly.
In fact, 40 years to get that right.
I know. Just ask Mark Barnes about his experience. It was shocking. It was terrible. So yeah, but and there was. I suppose we're going to have to show it. There he is. Look, my colleague and the man that cost me a meal.
Here he is. Look, demanding money Metley. Again.
I know he went into, like, as soon as he saw the camera, he was on. He was just like there. He was on and switched on.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you are a Patreon subscriber, you'll have had access to this all week. Same if you're a YouTube member, you'll have had access to this all week. However, at noon UK time tomorrow, everybody will be able to watch this. So if you are a Patreon subscriber that doesn't pay, or if you are a YouTube follower, then you will get to watch this video. It's about 55, just shy of 55 minutes long, and it's a complete walkabout. No, I'm not Nick Batt, so therefore it's not going to be as professional and as interesting. But you might get a chance to see some of the things that were there, and if with any luck, it will persuade you that next year you save up, or actually start saving now. Then you won't have to worry about it, and come along to Superbooth, because it's just something you have to go and experience for yourself. So if you want that, you can just find it on YouTube tomorrow from noon. If you're not a subscriber. That's filled a few minutes. There was another question in the chat about patch cables, because I posted a picture on our Facebook page of patch cables.
Patch cables.
Patch cables. Lots of lovely patch cables.
Should we take some guesses then?
Well,
let's start taking some guesses. We've got time to kill.
We have, yeah. The day after, though, I did post a picture of a 3.5mm socket with the word gate underneath it.
Did you see my amended picture underneath?
Yes, I did. Yes. There were lots of gate jokes, which is why I took a picture of the gate socket, because I thought, yeah, that'll get some people going. Yeah. So, what do you think has happened in the failed Muso studio?
Well, us or
bumped your head?
Bumped my head. Yeah. Drunk too much. Yeah.
Diabetes has on earlier onset Alzheimer's.
There could be that.
You won the lottery.
No, but I tell you what, I haven't done. I haven't, as many believe, succumbed to the apparent delights of modular.
Oh, I didn't think you had for a moment.
No. I'm only teasing. What I have done is I've succumbed to this thing.
Yay!
Which, I need to bring this back here. There you go.
There you go.
Mini Brute 2S, which of course has a little semi-modular. It's got a semi-modular thing on the end there.
Don't we all?
And that is all.
People say that software harms hardware sales. That's as
quite
a direct result
of the software.
Yeah, I'm looking as well. I'm looking for one.
Even though, now I'm one of these people, right? So if I buy something and it has an attachment, or it has a space for an attachment where there's something extra you can bolt on, I will generally buy that bolted on thing. So this thing comes with those, and those sockets on either side accommodate a brute rack, allegedly, that you can then connect. You can put your Euro rack modules in and then connect this up to those. I would like to say right now, not going to happen.
I can't
not
find
going
it to switch
to
it
happen.
off.
What's he doing? Hide the. See, you talk about a semi, and he gets all excited.
Yeah,
this is it.
A quick shout out to all the lovely people at Behringer. No, well, the people at Behringer anyway. With their post about no synthesizer should cost more than $1,500.
Well,
I'd like my £95 back, because that was $15.95.
Ta-da! Dollars or pounds?
Yeah, pounds. Well,
I'll take check, or actually I'll take it in biscuits if you've got them.
Cake.
Yeah, all right, cake as well.
Take it in cake.
Wouldn't be the first time.
I mean, that was an interesting statement. I don't want to get bogged down in too much, Behringer stuff, because we all kind of know where that leads
to get bogged down in it.
But
it was a Behringer statement. It's all
a
cobblers.
ridiculous a ridiculous thing. As I think Carl Bedford said, oh, well, I'd like my Ferrari whatever.
Oh, yeah, Ferrari shouldn't cost more than 50 grand. Yeah.
Yeah. Rubbish.
Did you see what I put?
Absolute rubbish. Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fish and chips. It up as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Give them a hook and a potato.
Ridiculous statement. You can make a $1,500 analog synthesizer if you've not had to invest huge amounts of R&D and so on and so forth. Yeah, absolutely.
I bet they used the free trial version of Fusion 360 as well.
Yeah, probably a cracked version or something. Yeah. Allegedly, I'll say that allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Lawyers get involved.
Public forum, etc.
I just want to share this because I've had that Superbooth. I'm doing it, Michelle. You've corrupted me. Superbooth. So that's been running on the other side of the screen, and it got to this bit. This is the bit where my knees went very wobbly. All right, so I've been in. This is in the Moog booth at Superbooth, and I've just done a bit of a walk round, and this is where Lisa Belladonna was playing 3 times on each day, and look, just watch. She goes, "Hi, Robbie," and then blows me a kiss. And it was just like,
oh, sit down.
I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah, is Michelle calling me Ken? It's pronounced Kent. Michelle Moog goes.
That's fighting talk, that is.
Well, yeah. Oh, I love her to death. She still hasn't answered my proposal yet.
For marriage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But I can wait.
I'd be best man.
Well, one of them.
It works, yeah. Come on, Michelle, say yes.
Yeah, just say yes.
Let's not.
If you and Dina would both marry Kent at the same time, that would be.
Oh, wow.
Work. That would
work.
There's
enough keyboards to go around.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's move on swiftly, shall we?
Go on then.
I'm just trying to see if I had anything else. We are bereft of news this week, so we really are going to have to sort of like wing this one. There's an apology for you.
Nah. It's not a yes, though, is it?
No, it's not a yes.
No, it's not a yes.
You've been told.
Indeed.
Sorry, continue.
So, yeah, one thing I thought, I just thought, oh, we'll just pull this one out of the air. So today, I received these in the post, and these are the first 2 Howard Jones albums. Just move them over there. Yes, I've bought them yet again because I've got originals and then I've got reissues, and these are special editions. Yeah, these are special editions that the main draw is that the albums have been remixed for surround sound. So they're on Blu-ray, and you've got the albums in 5.1, and strangely only about 2 or 3 songs in Atmos. You just thought they'd just done the whole thing in Atmos, but hey. But they've also got new stereo mixes, and I was listening to it before we came on air, and the original engineer did all of this work. So this is not like somebody who didn't know what he was doing. He came in and has remixed the album so that the songs sound amazing, but instead of those kind of radio fades at the end of every track, he's let the whole thing kind of play out and given them proper endings, and it's really unique. But what it did remind me of was 1983, seeing so it was like around the autumn winter of 83, when New Song was just a massive thing, seeing Howard Jones for the first time. And for me, even though I was kind of familiar with electronic music, it was that moment where I thought, I can do this on my own. I don't need anybody else. Technology has now caught up with my imagination, and one man can make an entire album. Because you always saw him on TV with his live rig, which was a selection of keyboards, a drum machine, and he would program it in between songs to play the song. It was just incredible to watch. And for me, that was the moment where I thought, yeah, this is for me. That was the tipping point, I think. And I wanted to ask you two, and of course our audience as well, so you can throw your responses in the chat and we'll pick out some of the best and throw them on screen and talk about them. But what was the moment for you, Kent Spong, where you saw or heard something that made you go, yep, that's for me. That's where I'm going to spend the rest of my life, surrounded with these expensive, annoyingly irreparable sometimes instruments. What was that moment for you, Mr. Spong?
The Moog Party Time album.
Okay.
1976,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was. I don't know who the hell bought it. Fell in love with the sounds, wanted to know more.
Yeah.
This is something I wanted to pursue. And then, of course, over the next few years, things like, Vangelis, Tomita, stuff like this coming out going, this is where I want to be. And then I found out how much they were.
Yeah.
And then started to cry. And then very slowly, a few years later, very, very tiny little versions of these things started popping out. And you're going, oh, hello a minute. Synthesizer for under 200 quid. All right, you got to build it yourself, blah, 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 and all this of it. Or, or 300 quid. And it's sort of like, well, if I save and I wash everybody's car in the road for a year, or whatever it's going to take, put posters up on the wall, and, this was it. I mean, the first time, I heard a Moog come across my dad's old Ferguson stereo system downstairs in the front room. That was it. Done.
Yeah.
Done deal. I go, this is for me.
Well, I don't know whether this says a lot about our audience or about the man himself, but looking at some of the comments coming through, first of all, before I do anything else, can I apologise to all those people who are asking questions of Jordan? I'm so sorry we didn't get to do all of your questions. It was nothing personal. It was just that we were out of time. So
didn't even get to do mine, and I'm on the show, so
I know.
I wouldn't worry. It's nothing personal, guys.
But there is a recurring theme in the comments. Jason Crouch says Jarre, Docklands.
Oh, Jarre as well, definitely. Yeah.
Red Walks. Mine was Jean-Michel Jarre.
Was that concert?
When Oxygen hit.
Tyndale Music. Jean-Michel Jarre for me too. The Essential to Be Specific, his first best of. Kissing the Machine, first 30 seconds of Equinox Part 1 back in the late 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard that stuff and I liked it, but I think it was the connection between seeing somebody actually doing this, because I think didn't Howard appear on something like The Tube or something and doing it properly live?
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, he's not that. You don't mime on The Tube, or you didn't mime on The Tube. No. Everything had to be live, and he was doing this live, and it sounded pretty much like the record. And I was like, "Oh my god, we've reached that point where I can no longer I can take my, at the time, Commodore 64 and maybe do something amazing with it." What about you, Andrew? Were synthesizers around when you were?
Telstar, probably.
Yeah.
I, being a little richer in years. I remember listening the day it came out. My brother brought it home to Abbey Road, and just thinking it was.
You lived in Abbey Road.
It was a brilliant thing, and I heard this sound on there that I thought I don't know what.
There was a
Moog
on there, wasn't there?
There was. It was a Moog System 15, or I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah, it was a big one.
Yeah, it wasn't the Minimoog.
Oh.
And I was just intrigued, and I liked rock music. I wanted to be a guitarist, but I wasn't. But I just heard this sound and went, "Oh, what's that?" And then a little while later, Chicory Tip had a band from the early 70s brought out a single called Good Grief Christina, which had a brilliant synth line on it, a Minimoog synth, and I went, "What's that?" And then a friend of mine invited me. I think we went and saw. I went round to his house, I went and bought Close to the Edge because someone told me I ought to listen to this.
Okay.
And I bought it, listened to it from beginning to end, and then bought tickets almost immediately to go and see the concert at the Rainbow in Finsbury Park.
Nice.
And I saw Wakeman there with his rig, his huge, great rig of keyboards, making these sounds, and I just thought, that's it. I've got to be that. And then I spent an extraordinary amount of time in my teens at parties, sitting down looking sage, windswept and wise, doing air keyboard solos to Rick Wakeman tracks, and I couldn't play, but I thought I'm going to definitely get laid now. I'll definitely, just.
How wrong you were.
And he's still waiting.
And that's pretty much been the story of my life. But no, that was the moment. First of all, Abbey Road, then Good Grief, Christina, then Close to the Edge, which was when did that come out? 72?
73, wasn't it?
73?
Yeah,
So it
something like that. Yeah.
In which case it was Six Wives. It was Six Wives, which was I think 72.
You know who I'd like to ask?
Oh no! Don't tell me Brad's come on to give me a bollocking about the whole proper tech statement.
I'd like to know what. I'd like to know.
No, it's not me. Tony wants to give you a bollocking.
Oh right, yeah, well, come on in, Tony.
Get on with it, Tony.
Come on.
Get on with it.
Come on. I left an E2 in the rain. You think I'm scared of you?
Here he is.
Oi, oi.
Free Kaladan from the first run.
So anyway, Brad Holland of Either Instruments. First of all, welcome.
How's it going?
Guten Tag.
Very, very well. What was the moment that tipped you over the edge that said, yeah, synthesizers? That's what I want to do.
Vangelis China album.
Oh yes, good choice.
Yes.
Uncle it's one of my favourite tracks ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Vangelis.
Who's the pup, by the way? Who's the pup?
Oh, this is Ben.
Hello, Ben.
You're famous. Look.
Oh.
Yeah, Michael Jackson wrote a song about him.
I Spy.
Oh, and he's beautiful. Oh, he's a sweetheart.
Look at that. Oh, the gorgeous.
You watching this?
Big old boy.
So yeah, Vangelis China, yeah.
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 I was talking about this the other day. One of my earliest memories, right, of being a baby, a toddler, was in the living room, and I remember crying and being incredibly scared, right, of this song that came on the radio. And now I'm an adult. I know what it was, but
really,
it was, and God knows what it was doing on the radio. I think it was quite a successful song at the time. But Laurie Anderson, "Oh Superman."
Oh yes,
know that song?
Yeah.
And, and I remember listening to the radio, get really scared of it and crying. And Mum was like, "It's okay, it's just a song." But yeah, Laurie Anderson, Superman's like an early form.
Yeah, it makes sense. It drives me to tears.
Yeah,
I love that song. I love it.
Really?
At the time, I couldn't believe it was number one. I couldn't believe it was number one.
When it was number one, see, I was a panel beater at the time, and used to have the radio on Capital Radio all day long in the workshops.
Sorry, you were beating what?
Panels.
All right.
It's a profession, and it'd be on all day long, and it was just God, and people would start.
It pretty much lasted all day, didn't it?
How did a song like that get number one though in the UK? That's so strange. I'm
art,
not Laurie Anderson.
art, mate.
Yeah,
but I think you'll find it's art.
But it wasn't your typical pop song, was it? I mean, it was just like so left field.
Especially when you had things like what Human League and all.
Yeah, that was around
time, I think. And
it was a weird thing. It was a great thing because it brought her into many. I mean, I'd never heard of Laurie Anderson until then. It was 81.
But the charts were more diverse back then.
They were. But
they were allowed to be.
Yeah, it's very true. This is very true.
No,
more than like 2 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
By the way,
I was working.
Myself and Manny are admiring your FS1R in the background there. By the way, nice to see that all lit up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got keyboards next to me.
I know you look like you're in a proper studio.
I built a little setup because it's all this stuff piled everywhere. So I thought, well, I'll make it look nice.
See, I would love to have the room.
V8 engine just there though, so it's a bit.
Oh yeah.
There's a Triumph V8 engine.
Bloody hell!
Good man.
What sort of processing do you use that for?
Stank tracking.
Let's have a quick look and see what other people's stuff was.
Not allowed to bring my V8 into the house.
Matt Evans says Howard's Jupiter 8. Excuse me for a minute. Yes, we know your thing with the Jupiter 8s. Andrew Brooks, bless him. He says the moment for me was Ultravox, the voice on a tape bought round by a friend. That was his moment that tipped him over. Peter James Stephen, who was at Superbooth with us a couple of weeks ago, my moment was seeing Thomas Dolby in the golden age of wireless. Yeah, Thomas, I think I saw him or became more aware of him after Howard, but again, I kind of put him in the same bucket because, he was this one guy with all this technology, although when I saw him play live, he always had a band with him, but he did that TV show where he was like demonstrating all of this gear, and it was just fascinating stuff. But Matt says hearing Autobahn in '74 was a moment for him. Gary Walker says, as he said in the Facebook group, seeing Hojo play his live rig, Jupiter 8 Juno 60 Pro 1 DX7 drum emulator, it was just an amazing rig. I would love one day to have, sort of set something up like that. I just don't have the space or the gear. Ron Wild, who I met at Superbooth for the first time in the flesh, that was great. My brother played Equinox in his room when I was a child. Heard it in a kind of half sleep, half wake moment in the morning. I've never heard anything like, or something like that. After that, I was hooked. As there is a definite Jean-Michel Jarre theme here, isn't there? I wonder why that is.
It seems to be with the ages, though. What is the influence is depending on how old or young you were.
Yeah,
So there's
Brad,
key moments.
If you don't mind me asking, Brad, what decade are you in? How old are you, roughly?
I was born in '79. Also, my mum and my aunt went to school with Arthur Depeche Mode because they're all from Basildon.
That's it. Yeah.
My auntie was at Dave Garn's wedding.
Nice
party.
I was having sex in '79.
Yeah, Alison Moyet, she's also from Basildon.
Yeah, absolutely. Ambassador massive back in the day.
They didn't start early either.
Yeah. No.
But so basically, Brad's the babe in the group. And yet he's pulling out tracks like Vangelis.
I am very blessed with my musical education because of my auntie. She like all across the loads of stuff like B-52s and stuff when I was a little baby,
Yeah.
Put Rob Lobster on, auntie. Put Rob Lobster on.
What about Floyd? Because they had Dark Side of the Moon. Well, they had Echoes before, Atom Heart Mother, but Dark Side of the Moon, and then they had Have a Cigar, whatever, Shine on You Crazy Diamond. Those all had iconic synth things.
Wish You Were Here.
Well, I remember. Sorry,
Wish You Were Here.
Wish You Were Here. That's the one. I mean, just amazing. And I do remember those really drawing me in and wanting to know what those lines were played on.
Well, minis were pretty staple diet for a lot of those bands anyway, weren't they?
Well,
wasn't that
and Odysseys and stuff.
VCS3.
Boy thing, Putney, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Putney's
the
as well,
VCS3s, because I remember hearing that Dark Side of the Moon. I think maybe my uncle was playing it, and I heard I was. When was Dark Side? Was that
74?
Yeah, 74.
No,
so
I was. It was earlier.
Was it really?
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Hey Siri, what year was Dark Side of the Moon released?
The Dark Side of the Moon was released in 1973.
All right. So
sounds nothing like my dog.
Yeah. So I remember hearing it 73, 74, and I was 3 or 4. And I remember hearing all of those bleepy sounds, and I would equate those with the novelty stuff that you might hear on the radio when they were, segueing between something, or it's just those silly novelty things. And I never paid it. Obviously I was too young to pay it much attention. It was only sort of, maybe 5 or 6 years later that it all started to register. Like I said, the door opening moment for me was Our Friends Electric, and then after that, it was just like anything that had synthesizers in, I wanted to listen to. And then I started to hear those things elsewhere and go, oh, that's what they are, synthesizers, right? Okay, it's not someone just making stupid, pointless noises. Or maybe it is, but maybe I like them a bit more now.
Six Wives, same year as well, wasn't it?
Again, there was something I never really got into that until much later on.
Another really beautiful synthesizer track that I love that you don't necessarily, but it is really synth heavy, is Chris de Burgh, Spaceman. You know that track?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of a biblical undertones to it, but it's got some really beautiful arpeggios in it and stuff. But it's really synth heavy track.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Robert, thank you very much for your donation, mate. Hope you didn't do that whilst you were driving, that you pulled over into a safe spot, stopped, turned the engine off, did that, and then carried about your journey. But thank you nonetheless. Appreciate that a lot.
Your turn.
Quick question for you, Brad. Apparently, Paul wants to know what firmware in your Matrix 1000.
Oh, no idea. Drop me an email and I'll check it for you.
There you go.
I think there's 2 of them over there, so I'll have to look.
Bostic 247 Magic Fly. There was another
Yeah,
one.
it was. That was good.
Yeah.
And also, of course, bloody hell, Keys in the Song of Life.
Well, Songs in the Key of Life, even.
That one, the same one.
Oh, that's
Keys
the
in the Song
B-side.
of Life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the remix, Keys in the Song of Life.
By Wendy Stover.
And then they did one in alphabetical order as well.
But
Easy
again,
They did.
that was something I came late to, understanding that was full of 2600s and GX1s and
2500s.
And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was. I mean, they did that the classic album series, and they did Songs in the Key of Life with Stevie and the band, the original band. And Stevie's in the studio, and they've wheeled out his GX1 and his ARP 2600, and he stood there saying how he he said this damn 2600, and he's banging it, and you can hear the spring reverb going wow wow, and he said and then all of a sudden they banged it, and this sound came out of it, and that's what I used on the record, and it was like wow. And then he does the whole string part of Village Ghetto Land on the GX1, and all of us, you had that. Oh my God! It wasn't actually strings; it was this synthesizer, this amazing beast of a synth. Yeah.
So
Was
Robbie,
that
I've got
actually
some
done on the
questions-
G?
I've got some questions for you, Robbie.
Oh, go on.
I
Yes,
missed
it was done on the GX1.
already, but about Superbooth, because we were having a meeting the other day. Obviously, I've never been there.
Yeah, you were.
Glad,
You,
like-
should, you need to be there.
Well, I've only been to NobCon, and as great as NobCon is, if you didn't stop at the booths, you could walk around it in like 5 or 10 minutes. If you
Yeah.
to look. And Vlad was like, "No, I don't think I've ever made it round the whole thing." And I don't know if that's just because of the amount of beers that are consumed, and then you just have to stop at some point.
Yeah.
Is it like really that? Is it more like sort of like Creamfields or like Glastonbury or something, in the sense that it's just dry huge, or what?
It's
What's the-
big, but it's not overwhelmingly big. So it's kind of spread out into 3 or 4 areas. So you've got the actual building itself,
right.
where there's a whole bunch of rooms up on the upper level, and on both sides actually there's a big room which they call the W zone, and that's full of stuff.
What's the W for?
It's actually it's a gymnasium that's kind of been converted, so they push all the seating back, and it's a big sort of hall. But then the other side of that, you've got the smaller rooms where you've got the likes of Sequential and Oberheim and Yamaha have got a big room up there. Bukes take up most of the mezzanine level. And then there's some professional recording stuff, microphones, desks and all that kind of stuff. There's an auditorium. And then you go outside of that, and there's kind of an area, there's a little kind of like a man-made, they call it the lake area, but it's about this deep. It's got a little island in it where bands perform. Then there's a kind of a wooded area with lots of small tents. When I say small tents, I mean you can get probably a whole bunch of gear and about 20 people
That's
in
the
there.
drug zone, I've heard. Like, just,
And there's a big
and everyone's like,
exactly, yeah. There's a big circus tent, which is kind of like a club that happens throughout the whole day. And then beyond that, there's a slightly more open area, so there's not so many trees, and that's you can get food there as well. But there's again another big bunch of tents. And then the last bit is what they call the bungalow dorf, which is a good sort of 5 to 10 minute walk from the main area, but it's a very quiet, chilled place, and they've got these wooden huts that either house one or more manufacturers. So that's where you'll find George from UDO with his stuff. He always has one of those there.
awesome.
So
You can get lost.
you can get I wouldn't say you can get lost, but you can spend a lot of time kind of doing it, and which is why it's a 3-day event, and most people will pace themselves. I mean, what I do on the first day is I kind of like do a recce, and I go around the whole lot and say, I'm going to come back and see that, I'm going to come back and see that. And then on the Thursday, I go and sort of focus a lot more on that stuff. And on the Saturday, it's a mopping up. The bits I didn't see, or maybe there's a special performance going on. So but the whole vibe of the thing is very festival-like. It really is a very festival vibe. Chilled and relaxed and brilliant.
Would Yuli get a special C zone?
Indeed, I don't think he'd dare show his face. I really don't. I don't think he'd dare show his face. I'd be surprised.
They don't do
they
shows, do they?
They don't need to.
They're
Let's be
above
honest.
that, aren't they?
They do brilliant plugins, though. Oh,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But no, I mean it really is. And I was walking around with a number of people, and especially there was a room where there was lots of cool desktop stuff. And I said, do you know who's not here? That would it's just so obvious missing. It is fucking Brad.
Well, it's like being all the way over.
Well, it's a floor show.
It's a lot of money, man. It's
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, and I got a family, and they'll be like, well, we want to go on holiday as well.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, it's not a holiday, darling, it's work.
Well, this is the thing. No, but seriously, this is one of the great things about
Next year for
Superbooth.
sure. We're coming next year by hook or by crook. We'll be there.
If you speak to Manny, right? So Manny came over with his lovely wife Hayden,
right,
and Hayden went and did her thing during the day,
right,
and Manny came to the booth, and then they went out for dinner in the evening, and then they did some cultural stuff sort of after the event. But a lot of people, my wife wants to do it, so maybe that's what we'll do one year. But also, there's a lot of you see a lot of partners going around with either their husbands or their wives or whoever whatever they might be, and because the vibe is more festival-like, and there's places you can go and sit and just listen to music or eat, drink, sit in the sun. Because it's set in this massive place called Fez. It only occupies a small part of this enormous amenities area. It's like a huge park with woodland and play areas. So if you've got young kids, you can take the young kids and go and play, on the what do they call it? The thing you hang on, zip line and all that kind of stuff.
Zip wire, yeah.
There's all. It's just incredible. Yeah, couldn't recommend it highly enough.
Do you have a German distributor, Brad?
Well, Toeman.
Okay.
Is it worth talking?
Turn Lab are coming on board, and a couple of other sort of independent places in Germany.
Yeah.
Is it worth seeing if any of those would want to help subsidise you being there? Because it would be good for them as well.
Rude to ask a question like that. I'm British. Come on, you know that we don't do stuff.
Ask. Don't ask. Just say, how much are you going to give me?
There are. So you get a lot of manufacturers that will turn up. They'll obviously fund themselves going there, get a stand or a booth or a tent or whatever it might be. But there's also distributors that maybe do 2 or 3 brands, and they set up a tent and have all of the brands in their one tent. But they'll have representatives of the brand in there. So
no, I definitely want to, because we've got all the gear. We've got all like the tablecloths and the stands and tablecloths.
Very formal.
That's what you need. Tablecloths and some teenage engineering picnic tables. Jobs are good.
Yeah.
Tea, scones, sorted, mate.
Yeah. Do the whole British thing. Yeah.
Next year. But you didn't, Andrew and Kent, you didn't go, did you, this year?
No.
I'm doing the show, Andrew, weren't you?
I'm seriously thinking of doing it next year and just doing it for almost a week, because it just sounds amazing.
The Knobcon's the only one I've done. I love Knobcon because everyone's become it's like a family there. Everyone's and like Narm, I've never been to, but it's like
Music Mesa,
like 10 grand for a 10-foot table. It's like, what? Come on. And you're such a small, insignificant little flea in a place like that. It just.
I don't think Superbooth. I have no idea how much the prices are, but given that Superbooth is Herr Schneider's thing, and he's so it's just so much about the community. Yeah, and you see so many small manufacturers with it. They only have maybe a small table.
Much more of a lot of busman's holiday to us than it there.
Yeah,
whereas Narm is a bit more focused on the entire gamut.
Yeah. It's a trade show. Yeah. It's first and foremost, it's a trade show. Superbooth is absolutely end user focused. Synth Anatomy, Tom at Synth Anatomy, who I had spent a lot of time with at Superbooth this year. He's a great guy. Around 1,000 to 2,000 for a booth.
Oh,
Superbooth.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did your liver hold up?
Do you know what? This year, one of the big complaints about this year was the provision of alcohol. So last year they had proper bars, and you didn't have. Like this year, you didn't have any selection. You just had like beer, which was Carlsberg. I mean, you're in bloody Berlin. I know.
You need Lefty all weekend there. Come on, man.
I know you need something proper, but they didn't. Whereas last year, they had proper bars, and you could have. I mean, I stood next to Daniel Miller ordering something bonkers last year, and it was just a very weird experience. But yeah, it was a little bit of a letdown with the food and drink this year. However, I think it was because they have recently changed, or the owners of the site have changed, and there was something going on there. They couldn't bring the people they wanted in, but whatever. But no, I mean, it's the least of your concern. But yeah, I mean, it's the weather the last few years has been incredible.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm not sure that the least of my concerns, what beer is there, is quite high up on the concerns list.
absolutely, no, absolutely, yeah. There was some, and Muggins here didn't understand that it was €7.50. Obviously, they don't do pints; they do half liters.
Right.
So it was €7.50 for a half liter, and I thought, oh well, it's they've got you. Yeah, they've got you on site. What they didn't tell me, or what I didn't understand, was that €3 of that was a refundable deposit to make sure you brought your plastic cup back. And the amount of plastic cups that I didn't return probably would have kept me in beer for another couple of days.
That's what all the kids are doing there. They're
exactly
all the glasses. And
they do that at Latitude.
Yeah.
I've seen them running around Latitude, getting all the cups and then taking them back and getting the deposits back.
Yeah.
Clever buggers, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I mentioned it to a few people. I said, this place is missing Isla Instruments, and they said, absolutely.
Oh.
So yeah,
Well, when
you need to be
Kaladan
there.
will be ripe and ready for it next year.
Yeah,
That'll be
absolutely perfect.
A no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, go sort it out.
Well, in NobCon this year, though, if anyone's going to.
Yeah, I'm going to try and I don't know the details from NobCon, but I might. I don't know. I've always wanted to do NAMM, but now I don't think NAMM is what it used to be.
Right, and that's
So
what I'm saying. It's not really centric to what we do. It's like you could be sat next to someone that's like just manufactures guitar strings or something.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just
No.
it dilutes the attention of the crowd a lot.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
it does, because
Yeah.
you want people to be that focus on your kind of thing, to be seeing other people, then seeing, that's you tend to get a concentration of people, and that sounds like, from what I've seen of Robbie's walk around and others, but particularly Robbie's, which is rather excellent. It feels like that's exactly what you get. You get that concentration. I think it sounds like it's a really good thing to do.
The best thing about Superbooth, and I say it every time, is the people. That's I go first and foremost so I can mingle with my people.
Yeah,
I say my
and
people,
that's the
people
thing
like me.
I would want to go there because it's people that you speak to online and that you haven't necessarily met, and it's more of a
Exactly.
friendship, sort of a family thing. Whereas people like NAMM is just it's not a.
There's a guy,
NAMM.
his name has completely escaped me. Last year. So last year, me and Ben was sat on the steps looking at the stage, and we were just chilling. And this guy comes up to us with an American accent, and he says hi. He says he watches the show, he watches the pub, introduces himself, and we sat talking for ages. And he went on his merry way after about an hour or so, and we would see each other in passing for the next couple of days. That was it. This year, I'm walking, and there he is, and he comes up, and it was just like we'd not been apart for a whole year. It was like, how you doing? No, it's great, because he watches the show, he keeps up with everything, and it was just absolutely brilliant to meet these people. You might only see them once a year, or you speak to them all the time. Like Ronald Wilde, who's in the chat, just came up to me and says, "Hi Rob, I'm Ron Wilde," and it's like, "Oh wow, yeah, I know you. We've spoken for ages." And then there's the people that you know, that you see, and you spend some real good quality time with, and you get to go out of an evening, and have some food and drink, and it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And
I'll never go out with Roman from Black Corporation. That guy's dangerous.
And I went
He can drink.
even Mike Metley, all right? Even Mike Metley. I went out with Mike. Well, I was supposed to go out with Mike on the Saturday night. Mike got delayed, and not because of that, the incompetence of my hotel shutting their kitchen down at 8 p.m. I missed my dinner. But do you know what? Because I was with Mike and a few other people as well, it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. It was the whole vibe of the place just puts you in this kind of whatever.
Did you try and get in Berghain?
No.
9.
But no, I went to some really cool places. I was very, very lucky to be invited to a few exclusive secret things over those days, and it was just great fun. And hanging out with people like Lisa Belladonna. Jeez, What a talent! What an amazing person! What an amazing human being! But what a talent to witness her playing right there. It's just great, absolutely fantastic. No, it's
You should go, Brad. You should
Yeah,
go.
definitely. Well, let's say we all go next.
yeah, absolutely.
We'll commit to being there next year.
Oh,
If you do.
as soon as the tickets are on sale, I'm booking. As simple as that.
Good.
No questions asked.
I
And
can't
that's the
find
other thing. It's not hugely expensive. It really isn't. In the grand scheme of things, it's not hugely expensive.
I can't find.
After you've spent the $5,000 getting there.
Well, yeah, I mean, for you, it's going to be slightly different because there's a big flipping ocean. But for me, it's like an hour and a half from Stansted, your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
In the woods, mate.
That's it.
Not
So,
bad.
yeah. Never
Make a
mind.
trip of it. Visit lots of dealers whilst you're
Yeah,
there.
come over
whilst
here.
you're in Europe. Yeah.
Lots of dealers, yeah.
No, seriously. It
Yeah,
always.
not
it-
those sorts of dealers, Brad.
Synth dealers, right?
Yeah.
What's he like?
Hello, mate.
Well, we know
What's
we
he
know
like?
what
We
he's
are,
like.
Up
Yeah.
and down the
Want a tickle?
So,
I want eggs.
Look, we're going to take the opportunity to ask you because you're on. How's Kaladan? How's it coming along?
It's going really good. We just,
Yeah.
How close have I got one to me? Just on the second prototype now. So we're
Nice.
just almost, I would say, production ready. Like I told you last time, that we've done a lot of, we've made a lot of changes on the platform, so it's all moved to like a Linux ARM and
Okay.
stuff just to make it easier to make and build. But at the end of next week, I think the firmware will be mature enough for me to do a demo. So we'll maybe
Sort
talk
that
about
out.
together.
Whoop,
Yeah.
that'd be
I
great.
can't say too much because everybody's waiting for a video update from me. So it'll be
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you
I
know
can
where we
see it.
are.
I can see a P2500 down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple of those. The Proteus.
As you do.
They're brilliant.
Is that a 3A or a 5 up on the shelf there, Brad?
What?
The Roland.
Roland.
Is that an
That
SH 3A or a 5?
that's a 5. There's a
Oh, it is a
7, and there are 2 3As over in the corner.
He's got all the numbers. He's got all the numbers.
It's like my bloody kitchen.
Yeah, that's a 5. That's next on the bench, actually, isn't it, Tom?
All right.
Yeah. It's finishing off a Jupiter 4, and then that's next.
Get a bigger hammer, mate.
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
Jupiter 4's been a sweetheart. Really wasn't an awful lot wrong with it, apart from a 1978 battery inside it.
Oh,
Yeah, well, those Jupiter 4s don't come my way. The ones I get need shooting.
Yeah.
God almighty, the last two I've had in.
You
The
got
biggest
a
problem I
they're good
find
for-
is the crazing that you get underneath the paint, which is such
Yeah.
a shame. You know, it starts looking like hair underneath.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
You had one recently, didn't you, Ken?
I had two. Both of them were the only thing they were really worth doing with was to put behind cars when their handbrake's broken, so they don't roll out into the road.
shocks.
Fucking yeah, they're absolute. Oh mate, I got both of them going, but for how long I don't know.
We just finished yesterday. We just finished 2 Jupiter 8s that we did concurrently, and one's really beautiful,
Yeah.
and one's like an absolute basket piece. It's done now, but I think we replaced every BA662 in it. It had everyone.
How many boards did you rake for that?
No, I bought a job lot of those. The clown,
Oh,
660
yeah.
clones.
Yeah, those cloning jobs.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
almost every one I think we replaced in it, and to finally get it up to
Jesus.
speed.
Nice.
Yeah,
Come,
There's
mate.
just I got that this week. If you have a Korg
Oh, yeah.
M1
Oh,
or
yeah.
Wave Station, this is the new one from Hypersynth. And obviously I can't show you because it's not plugged in, but this is an OLED display which not only displays the patch numbers, but the patch names, the bank names, everything. And if you've got, like me, an M1 rack mount,
right.
when you turn it around this way, the screen goes like that. It's brilliant. It's
So
so cool.
I've got an interesting card for the M1, which I bought ages ago just to support the guy, and I never used it. But it's white. It might be the same guy.
Oh.
The M1, but you can put your own samples on it.
Yeah, it's got the little USB socket in it.
Right. I've never
German-
used it. It's here, but yeah, you put your own samples on it and play with the M1.
Wave Rex.
Wavrex. That's it,
Wavrex. Yeah.
Where was he 30 years ago?
Well, yeah,
Can
indeed.
you imagine? Can you imagine him releasing that there?
Yeah.
Crazy, yeah.
Bloody hell.
So yeah, I remember seeing that. You can just plug a USB cable in and just zip things down from the computer into it, and away you go.
Nice.
Yeah. No, so I'm going to be looking at that and playing around with that because it's got loads of sounds built in, and you can use it in anything that uses that particular card slot. So that's M1s, T series, 1, 2, and 3, WaveStation, WaveStation AD, DS8. If you've got DS8, it works in that. The A1 as well.
So you've got a bunch already on it. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
At it then.
Oh, I've put it all away, and it's a special thing and everything.
Oh.
But it just goes into that that slot. There you go. Get the focus on it.
Nice.
Yeah, and it just goes all the way in, and then all you have left sticking out is just
The thing that I don't need. I'm going to have to get now.
Yeah.
Well, tell them I sent you.
Got a house full of that.
Might not get a discount, but at least it helps. But these guys, I need to get because I've got a pair of their cards for the DX1/5, but they've just released the new ones with the metal casings, and they're so much nicer, but they're not cheap.
Didn't you sell your DX1?
No, it's not. Well, it's technically not mine, but it's over there.
Oh.
Yeah, it's still there. No, because I saw Guy.
Technically not anybody's.
Guy Fletcher's, yeah. Guy Fletcher's has just put his up for about 80 grand, hasn't he, or 90 grand or something.
Oh,
that's stupid.
Really?
I've received all sorts of flack for putting my freshly restored Oberheim 8 voice
Ooh.
on there, and it was Kent. I said, Kent, how much? We've just finished this. I've retold it and everything. How much shall I sell it for? And you told me, didn't you, Kent?
Yeah.
So I put it up there, and I got all sorts of abuse. Like you just put,
Ridiculous.
the next.
Well, you will anyway.
The next
Mate, if
day, go onto Facebook groups and they're like, "Look at this fucking clown."
You will anyway, mate. You will anyway.
Yeah.
No, it's funny because I was talking to Tiny this week, and I said, "Guy's put that up pretty high, isn't he?" He goes, "Yeah, but he's probably not really looking for that, though."
No, a lot of the time.
Why did you do it then?
You always entertain offers, but the other thing is that you don't. It's extremely difficult to value it. You discount the hundreds and hundreds of hours that me and Tony are put into doing it. If you discount all of that, which you'd never get back properly anyway, but you've got nothing to gauge it on. When was the last time an EVS was sold? And
but he was going on about, he says, "Oh no, sort of like that DX1, it's all over." What was it? Money for nothing and everything like that. And he's going.
It's not money for nothing, though, is it?
No, he's going.
No.
Tiny goes. He was using the GS1 on that.
Yeah, but there are sounds from the DX1 on.
Yeah, but not the sounds guys saying it was doing.
No, because I've got
It does seem. I don't know if you spoke about this before, but it does seem that the synth market has taken quite a. The craziness has taken quite a dive over the past sort of 6
Well, it couldn't last.
No, I think a lot of that was like COVID and people just being bored and spending money on their hobbies and that.
They wanted to see how far they could push it because there was a trend where what you do is you put up it for argument's sake a CS80.
Yeah.
Right, you got a CS80. You take some photographs of a CS80. You put it up on an auction site or whatever, and you say 85k.
Right, and then go and buy
Then you wait a couple of weeks, and then you put yours up for 35.
Right, yeah.
Which is 15 more than what you would normally be getting for it, and people go, "Cool, that's much cheaper. I'll have that one."
More photos of the 8 voice, quick.
So a bunch of people are asking about the cards for the M1. I've put a link for the Hypersynth and also for the Wavrex as well.
Yeah, that Wavrex is awesome.
Yeah.
He's also, I can't remember if it was him or not, but he also reversed all of the, it might not be that guy, but reversed all of the SRJV cards, that you put
okay.
in the JV20,
Yeah.
and just like put all of those like card, and some of those cards are super rare. Like there was the lawsuit one, which was I don't know if I say it right, Ubershell.
Webershall, yeah.
They used to make all the sample CDs, and there was a particular one, because I'm a house boy, so the Ubershell House CD, there was a bunch of loops on it that were like totally not cleared, and they got nicked for it. And but
wow.
Roland, of course, had bundled a load of those samples on an official Roland card.
Oh no!
So they got.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think maybe that was the last we ever heard of Ubershell. Whatever you call them.
Then they're still going.
Are they still going?
Yeah, I get emails from at least once a week. We've just released something new, and but it's all online now. Yeah.
So that house, the Roland House expansion. But yeah, so all of those cards he's put onto like one thing.
That's nice.
I'm not strictly sure if that's.
There's a guy in Northern Ireland whose website is sector101.co.uk, and he does.
That's the guy. Yeah, it's not Waverex. It's that guy now.
Yeah, he does stuff for Yamaha. I've got one of his cards.
Yeah, the SRJV Romulator.
But it's a replacement for these things.
Yeah, right.
But it's got it's a bit like it's. You stick it in, but it's got a knob, and you've got 16 slots. So you've basically got 16 cards on one card. And he supplies all of the original sort of SY sound, the Yamaha SY stuff on there as well. So yeah, and they're very reasonably priced.
Can you hear my cat?
Oh yeah, I did. I thought it was hip squeaking again.
Yeah, it could be. Mr. Evans.
Yes, so there's plenty of life in these old dogs yet with these cards. Oh, yeah, or cats even. Yes.
Yeah. Can't be biased. Come on.
So
can't be beesed. I was saying to Robbie just earlier this week that I've got these things which they're great, like the P2500, but I've got all the cards, and it turns out I can sell the cards that are inside all of. So I've got every single card plus some that are in these things for almost twice as much I can sell the hardware for. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
I have some saved searches on eBay. I really should delete them because they very rarely yield anything. But it's back when I was looking for memory cards for DXs and stuff like that. The prices of just even bog standard DX cartridges, even just the blank ones, you're looking at £100 minimum for just an empty card. But if you want like the Sakamoto sounds that he did for the DX7, £500. It's bonkers. Yeah. And even some of these maybe not necessarily haven't got an artist associated with them, but they're made by it's a bank of sounds that came out in '86 or something, and no longer available. Those will go for a couple of £100, and I've got a box full of these things down underneath there. Essentially, it's my pension, because if I sold them all off of this at the current rates, I'd rake in quite a bit of money.
I think it's the completionists. Because you don't need that stuff.
All of those DX sounds are available online.
Yeah, but if you're into that sort of thing, and you're collecting stuff, you're like, it's going to burn a hole in your mind forever if you don't if you don't have it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then even when you've got it, it just sits there anyway. So
yeah, no. I mean, and the thing is, I see people complaining about the price of some of these modern card equivalents. Oh, it's £200 for that. I said, well, yeah, you go online and buy enough blank cartridges to give you the same capacity as that, and you'll be spending £2,000.
Yeah, you will.
Which is bonkers, but there you go. I mean, I really wanted the Toto. Toto did a pack of sounds for the DX7, and I've got them. As software. But I'd love the cartridge, especially because it's got Paich and Picara on there, and these really cheesy kind of leather jackets with big collars and all this kind of stuff. Can we just mention, and thank you to Brad Raybury. I was going to actually say the other version, Ray Bradbury. Yeah. Today is the anniversary of the loss of the wonderful Dave Smith. Which happened 2 years ago on this day.
My Dave Smith shot glass, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We needed those. Yeah, 2 years already. Wow,
Bloody hell.
that's mental, isn't it? So yeah,
That was one of those ones that was felt really deeply,
Hmm.
really deeply, and I think we all kind of we all knew just how clever and brilliant and wonderful he was, but then when he's gone and he's no longer able to be that clever and wonderful, we're all kind of going, "What? No, you can't."
yeah, and
It
he
felt like
kind
we
of
were cheated out of something.
yeah, because he'd gone away. You know, he was out of our sort of periphery. I mean, obviously we remembered him for all the classics, and then he comes back, starts to come back with the Dave Smith instrument stuff, and then gets his sequential name back, and Yamaha gave it back to him, and off he went, and then he gets snatched away from us, which was
He was
crazy.
at a festival, though, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Enjoying
yeah.
himself.
That's it. He was doing what he loved. But
Yeah.
what a shame. What a shame. There was something else I was going to... Oh, yes. Thank you to Dr. Mike and others for Bostic 247 as well for reminding me that... do you remember we had Mike and Kim Bjorn on from Bukes?
Oh yeah.
So delighted to say that it reached its target and then some.
Oh, congratulations.
93,500 euros was pledged and has been taken because the pledge finished, and I noticed my credit card got charged. So
Yeah.
that's done.
They are
and
such beautiful books. They really are. Like,
they are.
Books.
And they were at Superbooth and sold out pretty much everything they brought. Unfortunately, the paperback preview copies of this weren't ready in time, so they couldn't show us that. But you're not going to question the quality. That I cannot wait to get mine.
I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm so glad they hit the extended target, because guess what? They've just got over the real break even thing, because people think that you sell things like this on Kickstarter, you're just trying to raise enough, and once you hit the target, you've hit break even. No, 10 years of work, but who was the author?
Kim Bjorn.
Of what?
No, he's the publisher.
Oh,
What Synth Gems? Who was the
for
author?
Minimoog, the guy that did all.
Oh, Joe Silver.
Joe Silver, that's the guy.
Yeah.
And he spent, however many years on it, and then Mike and Kim spent at least 2 years or more on it, and to get it to this point, the fact that they
There
got
you go. Look. There's some doorstops for you.
There we go.
Hey.
I got something special there.
What?
Oh.
We were talking about him earlier. I was one of the super backers on the first Kickstarter. I got Jean-Michel Jarre signed mine.
Awesome.
Oh,
Hey.
really?
I got a little picture, a little clip of him signing it when he was doing it.
Cool. Yeah, when I was passing the stand, which I did frequently, Mike and Kim were being asked to sign. Almost every purchase they were making, they were asked to be signed.
Do you know you have to pay almost 4 times as much for a copy that Mike hasn't signed?
That's what I've heard. Yeah. By the way,
I wouldn't take that, Mike. Come on.
I know that we rip into Mike as much as we can, and he loves the attention. But can we just all take a moment to send our best wishes to Mike, who's currently watching the show in the waiting room outside the ER room, where his daughter is currently receiving some medical attention.
Mate.
He hopes that we hope that everything's going to be okay. She, according to Mike, she's not in immediate danger, but she's not been well for the past few days, and this is their second trip.
bless her.
So fingers crossed, everything works out fine for you, Mike, and your family, and of course your daughter, most
Mike.
importantly.
Absolutely.
And now we can carry on ripping the crap out of the guy. He would complain if we didn't.
Listen, you got to be careful, because sometimes Americans don't get our banter.
Nah.
And they've got guns.
They get
And they got
bats.
guns, yeah.
Yeah. That's the problem.
So
You're
I think
welcome, Mike.
we have
Very
absolutely managed to fill a show that had no news really, other than of course the the wonderful Jordan Rudess and the Bob Moog Foundation. What's it? So yeah, that's brilliant. Did you see, this came with my mini brew. This is brilliant. This is a stand-up thing, and it's got patch sheets in it. Look at that. Do you remember them?
Well, that's how they used to be.
I know.
They've not
I
got
did.
that storage.
No.
It's completely.
No. And because of that, I actually wrote I do an article for Gear News every week called Sounds and Presets. And basically, it's just like me going around finding third parties that do great sound libraries, and I try and find a theme to stick it all together. And I was really struggling this week, and then this arrived, and I thought, oh, look at that. Yeah, patch sheets. Do you remember them? So this week's article, if you want to go and see it, is on gearnews.com, is a whole bunch of these sheets for, the Arturia. I think there's some Moog ones, Minimoog ones on there, and a few others. So, yeah, good old-fashioned patch sheets.
Is that the new Polybrute 12 behind you?
It is.
It does look pretty sexy.
And it sounds sexy.
What, you're saying I don't?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, all right.
Oh, sorry about that.
Andrew again, yeah.
I didn't know it was so musical.
It's an amazing synth.
Yes, it is. Actually.
Also, whilst we've got a few minutes, can I just remind everyone that Synthesized, which is the event that happens every year at the Centre for Computing History in Cambridge, is happening again in 4 weeks' time. And let me just the event page is live, I think, as we speak. And if you want a reduction in your tickets, if you go onto the website, which I will put into the chat now. Look at this, I'm doing all this single-handedly. There we go, computinghistory.org.uk, and then just go to the events page. We are going to be there, and I say we, that's myself and Peter James Stephen, because it's the 40th anniversary of the Emulator 2. Pete's going to be bringing down a whole bunch of emulator gear. I'm going to be pinching an emulator 1 from Kent. So we're going to have every emulator, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the X in one room, all operational, with the sound designer software on the 2. I will be bringing, hopefully, Frankie Goes to Hollywood's Juno 106, because I'm taking that to Kent next week. And if I feel brave enough, I might bring the Polybrute 12 as well. So
the Emulator X, wasn't that a PCI card for your computer?
It was essentially, it was just software, but you kind of needed
software.
You needed an emulator card or
it had the EMU 10K1 or the EMU 8000 chip on the card. That's right.
Yeah, but you needed that. That was the dongle, basically. So you had to have an emulator, either a MIDI interface or a PCI card to operate it.
It was using
10K1, 10K2, any of those would.
Yeah, I had the 0404 and the X MIDI something or other, but then none of that works on any of this now. Although, saying that, I did manage to find a copy of Emulator X that's been, shall we say, relieved of its licensing capabilities. That if you've got a machine old enough to run it on, you can do that.
I've got all those machines, but not the 2.
Yeah, so if you want to see every single emulator, 1 through X, and I think Peter is also bringing an Ensoniq of some description.
When is this?
It is the, let me just bring this back up on the screen. It is the 29th and the 30th of June. And use the code PROSYNTH, PROSYNTH. When you check out after buying your tickets, you'll get 15% off, because we is nice to you like that, innit? But as you can see from some of these pictures, we get all sorts of gear. I've taken Fairlights there for a few years. Last year I took the DX1. This year I just wanted to, I want to give my back a rest.
Yeah, this is what I miss about the UK being all the way over here in Florida, is like the little things like that. You know, oh, what should I do? There's always something to do this weekend. And there's always things to do here in the States, but like most of it's in LA. And you have to got to drive 5 miles to get a pint of milk here, you know.
And talking of things this weekend, I just wanted to show this.
Oh, new track from Lady Aptitude. That's going to be good.
Hey.
That's going to be good.
Guaranteed.
Boom.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
going to see St Vincent tomorrow night. I can't wait. It's the Albert Hall as well. Huh? We're going for a 5 guys. That's how special it is. Yeah. So. What else have we got? I think we've actually done it. See, he does. He loves us.
We love you, Mike. I hope your daughter's fine, man. Do.
Yeah.
If you need anything, shout, holler.
Absolutely. No, it's always good to hang out with Mike and the rest of the gang, as always. So yeah, I think we've kind of done a show. We've had two wonderful guests. We've had, of course, Jordan Rudess, and of course the surprise visit from old Essex boy down below there,
Right.
Brad Holland. I shall be
Nice.
driving
Bus,
past
isn't
his
he?
old manor tomorrow on my way into London.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah, I know. I park up at Newby Park and get the tube in.
You have to stay over 40
Down the
miles an hour,
A12.
or we get your bloody wheels nicked.
I know.
Yeah, right.
You have to keep rolling just ever so slowly, just until the traffic lights. That's it. Yeah.
Shut it.
Yes, lovely. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm becoming very thirsty, and I've run out of beer. And I also need to make room for it, if you know what I mean. So we'll draw a line under that. And thank you for coming along, Brad. Thanks ever so much for hopping in. It's always great to see you.
Hello to the boys.
Always a pleasure, never a chore. Come back on as soon as you've got something ready to share from the world of Kaladan,
Yeah.
because I know we and our viewers will.
It's
Can't
coming.
wait to-
Oh, I got one little tidbit of news.
Oh, go on then.
If any of the backers are in there, I did a dual OPL3 card, which was a
Yes.
voice. So it's an OPL3 FM chip, but with analog filters. It's actually the Yoka Synthex filter
Oh, right.
in the VCOs, and it was a 4-voice card. And we recently ditched the DSP chips being on the cards themselves in favour of doing it all on the main unit. So we've squeezed an extra 2 voices onto the FM.
Oh, wow.
So it'll now be a 6-voice
6 voice.
Nice.
OPL3 FM hybrid analog FM card.
Superb.
Wow.
Can't wait to hear that. Absolutely.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Well, thanks for that little tidbit.
Thanks
And
for having me.
no, thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure. Like I
I'll
said.
get a word in edgeways when Ken's on. Ken's on.
Ken. That's twice today.
It's a Michelle.
All right, Ken.
Michelle's instilled all of this stuff. Ken. Sorry, mate.
That's all right.
Ken.
I couldn't give a flying, honestly. Well,
Can I just put a shout out tomorrow? Andy Synchrotron doing his thing at 10 o'clock UK
very
time.
peaceful.
I always use it when I'm writing. I just have Andy on in the background, and then just it's really cool. So 10 o'clock Synchrotron, he's in the chat. Go and check that out. 10 a.m. UK time. Ramsey's not on again this week, and
No.
he's feeling better, but he's got something with his kids, some sporting thing or camping thing. I'm not entirely sure. So he's not on tomorrow afternoon.
How much for the dog's tail?
How much?
Oh, listen, that thing's
I want one for Siri.
it's an offensive weapon. That thing.
Looks
Yeah,
it.
I know.
Looks it. Yeah, careful. You can knock that Oberheim off. Yeah, so, Andy says not streaming tomorrow. So it's going to be bereft of streaming.
Are you
Oh.
streaming tomorrow, Mr. Spong?
Going
Are
to
you
have
doing
to
a pub?
now.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to
Pub.
fill the void.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, I
out
won't
with
be able
my-
to make it because I'm out. So.
I'm taking Liz for a lovely meal tomorrow night because it's her birthday. She's obviously 21.
Again.
Yeah, so I will, once that's all done, I will be popping into the pub.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, I do have some
pissed.
news.
Oh, go
I do
on.
have some news. Fiona has finished the code.
Oh, yay. And what will that code yield?
Well, we can't talk about that yet, can we?
A check.
Oh, no, we can't. No, we can't.
No, we can't talk
you're
about
right.
that yet.
We can't talk
We
about
can't talk about that.
that. We'll file that under Moog. Can't talk
When
about
I
that.
tell you what, when 10 are built, we'll announce it.
Okay. Deal.
Ooh.
Deal. Nice one. Cool stuff. It's exciting. It's fun. It should be fun. Right. Okay, then, gentlemen, thank you ever so much. Thank you to everyone that watched and has contributed in the chat. Again, I really apologise if I didn't get to ask your question of Jordan, but Jordan did say he was coming back maybe early autumn. So store those questions and we can ask him, and maybe we'll get him on for like a whole 2 hours.
Let's just make him a regular.
Proper nap. Yeah, it'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just make him a regular.
Get rid of one. No.
So which one's costing us the most?
Yeah, yeah.
That'll be me.
Oh,
Then.
no, that'd be me. Hang on.
No. I'm on quadruple time this week.
Indeed,
Oh, are
yeah.
you?
4 times nothing is nothing.
Quadruple nothing is...
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, and yes, as Matt points out, we passed the 4,000 subscribers mark.
Hey.
Yeah, we're still little. We're
Thank
still
God,
little,
I'm
but we're getting
so
little
fed up
bigger.
filling out them forms.
I know. Constantly, isn't it? Anyway, guys, thank you ever so much. Have a great weekend, and thanks to everyone that watched. Thanks if you're watching on catch up. Thanks for coming back. Don't forget, if you want to contribute to help keep the show on, you can do that through the donations, or you can also do that through Patreon at ProSynth Network, and of course YouTube membership as well. So we really appreciate everyone that donates in whatever way you can, because it helps keep us on air. And we will see you same time, same place next week. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of news, something to come out and talk about. Things will slowly start ramping back up, but at the moment it's still very quiet. So yeah, fingers crossed. But have a great weekend, everyone. Take care. See you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.